Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina, and the title of this video is a response to Elder Apostle Tahar's response uh, about his response to Elder Apostle Ahrayamlab and the Elder Kanachh here. And basically said something and made me think of Matthew 26, starting at the verse sixth verse. But anyway, I'm gonna grab this and then I'll get it.
Don't be PC with these people. Tell them the truth. When we went into when Polite came down and he he pulled out this whole grape thing and he filmed it so he can have that debate and there's a big mess about it and the other Israelite groups they had to respond to it. So they all got emotional. They didn't study, they didn't say, you know what, let me be like the Church of Berea. I always say the Church of Berea. And let me see if this is the case. I don't. It doesn't make any sense that you make a statement like that. That just doesn't sound right. It's not kosher to me. So put your scholar cap on. Look up certain words. Look up the scriptures, and um, and then if you do that, you would say, I hate to say it, but they're telling the truth. Now, what's a damn shame is a woman should Shapar Adah, whatever name Shapar Shada she said that she said that the GMS, you know, they're telling the truth. You know, I remember when it first came out, the main guys that we battled were
Right. And basically, when when he said that, basically I thought about this, because this is a memorial that needs to be, read. This is my YouTube platform, whatever the case may be. So I go ahead and read it. But basically, the elder apostle Hari remembered this woman, right? That out of all the false prophets out there in Israel that came against what the scriptures say, this woman was the one that said, well, GMS is correct, right? The scriptures say, let God be true and every man a liar, right? And we have the words of Yahweh Bashmi Shai, right? GMS, and of course the affiliates and those that teach a likewise doctrine, right? So this woman came out and said, yeah, GMS correct. That's exactly what happens. And I'm talking about the grape situation. And the question to all you false prophets or whoever have feelings about this is, what do you do, in a circumstance that's, your loved one gets raped? What do? Right? And the scriptures are there to tell you. Now, we don't teach that you go out there, and do this. Don't go snatch up a female, because you want to make her your wife, whatever the case may be, because we're living, you know, in this wicked society, and even in the kingdom, that's not going to happen because we're going to be perfect. We won't need to go and snatch a woman because we're going to have plenty of women, right? Of course, we have Isaiah 4:1 that's going to start on this side, where these women that are at ease, right, pursuant to Isaiah 32, are going to no longer be at ease no more because of the circumstances of the world, right? Um, scriptures say, "Woe to you that turn things upside down, and shall be esteemed of the pot of clay." Roughly paraphrasing the scriptures, but ultimately, these devils messed everything up. They correct order, right? They ruled in wickedness, right? So, women were able to basically move on their own, and it has fucked them up. It has fucked up everybody, basically. Every nation regarding a woman, when Esau is around, is complaining. You had over in Afghanistan and Iraq. I remember when they got up out of there, they got their woman, back in order immediately, because when Esau was there, he was promoting just, BS. They even tried to take that, the LGBTQ stuff to over to Africa. They wasn't having it because this is what, Esau does. Ultimately, he pushed that thing here heavy in America, that feminism, or, like I like to believe and say that his women tricked them into, making themselves become free so they can have liberty to basically do what they want. And they ended up just fucking on Jake, and now they're complaining about, you know, birth rates and all these extra things. But ultimately, it messed our woman up too, because women became free, and Esau gave them benefits and wanted to kick the man out of the house. So it goes into a lot. Of course, we're living in this place is wicked, is going to destroy you, right? The scriptures say to rise and depart, for it's not your rest, right? This place shall destroy you with a sure destruction. Roughly paraphrasing the scriptures, right? They destroy you, all right? And that's exactly what happened. Okay. Um, so the precious ointment, Matthew 26:6, it says, now when Yahushua was in Bethany, the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, he said, when Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she have wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also that this woman have done to be told for a memorial of her. Right. So it's a great thing that she did. Remember it. We speak on it. Just as Elder Pastor Hart brought the fact that remember this woman that out of all the false prophets out there was the one that said GMS correct on the laws basically just by reading the scriptures. Everyone else was PC in their feelings about what was heard, right? And ultimately, it was in the scriptures. So once again, what do you do if your loved one is great? You don't have an answer because you're living off emotions, okay? And once again, we do not promote or teach that you go out there and do these things. All right, this is just in the scriptures. We speak on it. All right. Matthew 22:22. Matter of fact, Matthew 22:23. Right. So, oh yeah, number right here. Matthew, Slacky, Deuteronomy 22:22. Right. So this is just the law. It says, if a man be found lying with a woman married to one husband, then they should both of them die. Right. So this is adultery. Right, which is against the law. Right, but we wouldn't, commit, do the judgment written because this is not our kingdom. This is just our laws. Right. And in the kingdom to come, as Israelites, right, we will have the law in our inward part pursuant to the new covenant, right? So we won't have to worry about this, all right? But of course, the other nations are going to be subject to sin, and the righteous rulers, the righteous judges will teach and execute judgment upon the heathen, right? It says, Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 22, if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, so a woman of a marriageable age, then shall ye bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. So that's even like women. That's people talking. You see a brother and a sister talking, whatever the case may be. You wouldn't try to, go mess with the sister. Something was already happening, right? And that sister shouldn't be, even allowing you to approach her, right? Have conversation, things like that. It says, then ye shall bring them both out of the gate of that city and shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not. Exactly. That's exactly what I just said. The woman ain't say nothing, right? She was all for it. She was with it. So she ain't cry out. She ain't cry about it. She ain't say anything about it. she dies. It says being in the city, and the man because he have humbled his neighbor's wife, thou shalt put away evil from among you. Right. So you as a man and a leader, a head, you should know things to do and things not to do. Right. And even the woman as a weaker vessel, being weak, should cry out and ask for help. Right. He says, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field and the man force her, so this will be your grape, right? And lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. Right. Because, this woman, she didn't want to do nothing with this dude, but this dude forced himself onto her. Right. This would be grape. Right. It says, but unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, so even is this man. So it's the same as killing the next man. What you did to this woman that was that you forced yourself onto her. Right? She had no power. In the field. There's no one around. All right. It says, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried. So she cried out, "Help! It's a maniac over here!" Right? And there was none to save her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father, 50 shekels of silver, right, money, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days, because one, virginity is important, you know, and once you cut that, that's your woman, right? Once you go into that woman, that's your woman, right? So if a woman that's not betrothed to anyone, in ancient days, in our customs, if this did happen, we would do something about it. Where this man would have to take care of this woman because now this woman has lost her virginity, and she has lost value, substantially lost her value, right? Because she's no longer a virgin. So this man that took that is going to have to pay for that. You break it, you buy it. All right, and that's just the law. It makes perfect sense. Okay, it says a man shall not take his father's wife nor discover his father's skirt. All right, so these are our laws, right? And these are the things that we're going to for edification and understanding, right? And as a righteous ruler and a future judge, you want to know these things, right? So you can rule in righteousness and not getting your feelings about certain things. And that's how we know how who the false prophets are, right? Because they get squirmish and bugging out regarding scriptures, right? They're not fit to rule the nations. You can't rule over the nations because the same question I asked you, you probably didn't have an answer to it. So therefore, you can't judge the nations, right? Because you just can't. Anyway, so that's pretty much all I had and I wanted to go into with that. Let me listen to some more real quick.
Where the back and forth with was IUIC, and they even had to admit it that grape is in the scriptures in Judges. What is that? Judges 19. Judges 19:20 goes in a couple of chapters about the Benjaminites. With 400 Benjaminites left, and they allowed them to dance to take the woman the women of Shiloh that danced at Shiloh because the Israelites they kind of cut Benjamin off and they said we're not gonna let Benjamin. We took a vow we're not gonna let Benjamin marry our daughters because of the wickedness that they did. That's a whole story. And you can read that in Judges 19, I believe it's 19, 20, and 21, maybe.
Correct.
But if you go to Judges 19, that's what you just read them chapters. So
And I was just confirming that for the elder apostle, right? You always give the correct scriptures, but I went over there too, and it is over there for us.
the IUIC said, yeah, that's true, because you couldn't say that didn't happen. They didn't great women. It said, catch you every woman, meaning it whether the woman like you or not, so you can build back in the tribe of Benjamin. That's why in the Psalms, I believe it's the Psalms, positive it's the Psalms. It refers to Benjamin as little Benjamin because Benjamin was cut down. So IUIC said, well, that was an emergency. Okay, but why didn't the Most High come down and strike them for doing that? So the Most High said, I'm gonna turn my back. I'm gonna let that thing happen. But after that, no more. Because that showed you that these guys do things based upon emotion. All these different wayward camps out there, some of them you're gonna have elect among them, and some of them it's just something to do. It's just, hey, when
Right, and pretty much it's false prophets, not fit to rule, right? They can't judge the nation. They gotta die and come back through a righteous line, right? Through the hopeful elect and the great multitude, the 1/3, the 144,000 in the great multitude, because they're just false prophets. Obviously, they're showing their true colors. So anyway, like I said, that's all I had on that. Lord willing, you were edified from the lesson. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.